I'm John McAfee, and I'm a member of the Sequoia High School Education Foundation. Tonight's new student welcome event is a dramatic departure from years past. With all of the shelter-in-place orders in effect, we've had to just find a different way to do things. Tonight is no exception. So we're going to run about 50 minutes tonight. We'll include a slideshow, some video clips, a panel of students who will talk about different aspects of life at Sequoia, and we're asking that everyone type in their questions. We'll address questions at the end of the slides, and if we run out, we'll post answers at the SHSEF and school websites, as well as a video of this event. Tonight, we really encourage you to also go to the PTSA website, sign up, and receive the Sequoia Sentinel newsletter, which communicates important school information to you on a weekly basis. This will become even more important as we decide to turn back on the school. Tonight's webinar will be available at the high school website, www.sequoiahs.org, for you to refer to if you want to review it for any information or if you have other questions. So I'd like to welcome you to Gym 1. That's the picture from last year. That's what the event looks like. And with that, I will hand the meeting off to Corey Uhald, who will go over the agenda. Corey.
Welcome, everybody. Glad that you could join us. Tonight's agenda, I don't know, can we roll forward one slide? Tonight's agenda, the things we're going to talk about, we have a panel of Sequoia administrators and students here. We're going to talk to you a little bit about Sequoia's mission, our learning objectives, the things that we find and hold most valuable here at Sequoia. We want to talk a little bit about the highlights of our school, things we're most proud of, opportunities for incoming students to get involved and find their niche at Sequoia. We're going to talk a little bit about extracurriculars, including visual and performing arts, athletics, various things like that. We're going to talk to you about the opportunities to get involved, specifically from a parent perspective. So opportunities to get involved with our PTSA, our Education Foundation, our boosters groups, both athletics and visual performing arts. We're going to provide a checklist for you of important things to prepare as we begin the next school year. And we're going to close tonight by doing a question and answer session, giving you the opportunity to ask some questions via chat and have them answered by a panel of Sequoia students.
Okay, so with that, let me introduce who your panel is going to be. Tonight, Sean Priest, the Sequoia High School principal, will be leading a lot of the discussion. You just heard from Corey Uhald, the Student Activities Director. We'll also have Melissa Schmidt, the Athletic Director, Lisa Hane, our PTSA President, Tessa Solomon, our Ed Foundation President. I'll be here along with Carolyn Arbuckle from the board. And then we have different students who are going to be our real experts tonight. First of all is Isabel DeGrande. She's a junior. She is the incoming ASB president, and she has a lot that she'll be offering tonight. Next will be Jacob Crosby, also a junior, who is very much into drama, music, and orchestra. Next, Isael Lopez, a junior who is involved in dance programs and the Dream Club, and also does tutoring. After Isael, we'll have Caitlin Dusky, a junior who's involved in various sports, including basketball, water polo. And then finally, Javier Nino Sears, who's a junior involved in a lot of different music and sports programs. So take it off to Sean, please.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Corey. Thank you to the 179 participants that have already logged in. I'm guessing that number is going to go up. I'm so happy that you guys are here. This is awesome. We are, of course, forged ahead with this event. Despite the fact that we've closed down, we weren't sure how many people were going to join, and this is a great number. It kind of mirrors what we have if you look at that picture earlier in the gym. So thank you for being here. I'm so happy to be talking to all of you about next year, because I'm super excited, and I hope you guys are too. Here's our mission statement. We live our mission statement at Sequoia. We talk about it a lot. Some places they write a mission statement, they put it in a binder, they put it on a shelf. We live our mission statement. And one of the things I think is important to understand about our mission statement is that word community. Redwood City, San Carlos are vibrant, diverse places We are right in the middle of Silicon Valley. We are right on the edge of the Pacific Rim, the West Coast, the Bay Area. We're an IB school, so we're looking out to the world. We're also the oldest school on the peninsula. So between San Francisco and San Jose, there is no older high school than Sequoia. And we very much love our history and honor our history, but we also have always been a school that has looked forward and looked towards the future. So if you look at some of the things in the mission statement, that comes out too, right? Thinking about self-esteem, self-direction, communication, 21st century skills, looking to make our students love learning and be lifelong learners and be creative and appreciate the arts. So these are really, really important parts of what we try and do every day. We live our mission at Sequoia. That's why we always start our meetings and we always start these kinds of events by pointing to that. Again, it's a very, very exciting place to work. I love going to school there every day. I've missed it every day since we've been out. And just in terms of the elephant in the room here, that we're not in school right now, as I imagine you guys are going through as well, what I've seen from our staff and this community over the past 5 weeks has only affirmed that these things are true in terms of our mission, in terms of what we're trying to do. We remain a vibrant community. We remain a place where everyone is looking out for one another, where empathy leads. We remain a place where our staff is committed to connecting with every single student and making sure that school is relevant and engaging and rigorous for each and every one of them. So it's a really, really difficult time for us right now, but as you can tell by us being here tonight and inviting you to come in and celebrate the next year, we're moving ahead as always. So let's go to the next slide. I want to talk just a little bit about where we're at, what we're focused on in terms of academics, in terms of next steps for our graduates. Sequoia, as I talked about, is an international baccalaureate school, which means that we are, along with other international baccalaureate schools around the world, preparing our students for success in their education after high school. We are looking for our students, no matter what their background is, no matter what their circumstances are, no matter what their life experiences are, to be ready to be successful in college in the next step. And so that's a number that we're really proud of when we look at our graduates every year, and they report to us what their plans are. 95% of them report they're going to continue their education. They're going to a four-year college, they're going to a community college. That's what we talk about from the day they get there. We have a freshman event every year where we take all of our ninth graders to visit a college. We give every 10th and 11th grader an opportunity to take the PSAT. We are constantly focused on college preparations, both in terms of the rigor and focus of our academics, but also in terms of the kinds of supports that we offer through our guidance department and our college and career center. So it's a school that's focused on making sure every student knows that they have the promise of being successful in a four-year college. And we're really, really proud of how many of them take that up and continue their education, because it's completely consistent with our mission. We are a big school. We're just about between 2,000 and 2,100, depending on the year. And that's a lot of students. There's about 200 faculty members between teachers and classified staff. If we go on to the next slide, I'll talk a little bit about how we make a big school feel small. So there's a number of programs on our campus that help make that community that you saw in the mission statement a little bit more manageable in terms of every student feeling like they have a place and they belong. Like I said, we are an international baccalaureate school. Our goal is that every single student before they graduate takes at least one IB class, takes at least one rigorous college level course. And that course may be the one history class or one English class. It may be an art class. It may be the entire slate of IB classes and that most rigorous pathway, which is for the IB diploma. We also offer a couple of sort of schools within a school, our Health Careers Academy and our Digital Arts Academy. So students after ninth grade have the opportunity to apply to be a part of one of these two academies. Each year, there are about 50 students who join each of the academies. There's an elective pathway that runs through the academy. So if you're in the Health Careers Academy, you're taking elective courses to help you prepare for a career in the field of health. That may mean doctor, that may mean pharmaceutical rep, that may mean EMT, that may mean nurse. We've had all kinds of graduates that have had different pathways out of that Health Careers Academy. And then our Digital Arts Academy broadly is looking at 21st century digital art skills, things like digital animation, things like video production, things like web design. And again, those are small sort of cohorts of students, about 50, 10th, 50, 11th, and 50, 12th graders every year. They have the same teachers. They have a pathway of elective classes that prepares them for a career. So when we're looking at our school, what are some things that we do to make a big school feel small? Those are 3 examples. We have other programs as well, like AVID and our SAP program. There's a number of other programs that we have that help keep Sequoia feeling small. The idea is every student should feel like they're connected closely with their classmates and at least 1 or 2 adults on campus, usually more. So let's go to the next slide. And I believe at this point, I am handing it off to Corey again. So Corey, why don't you take it away and talk a little bit about orientation in August for our incoming class of 9th graders.
Thanks very much, Mr. Priest. We are going to be making this PowerPoint presentation as well as the video recording of this webinar available on our school website. So you don't need to worry about writing stuff down unless you want to. But if you do, the first date to be aware of our new student orientation on Tuesday, August 11th for all freshmen and new students. It's going to run from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Sequoia High School. We recommend checking in at Sequoia closer to 8:30, between 8:30 and 9. We'll get you paired up. All new students will be placed in groups. They'll be led around that day by some of our Sequoia High School leadership students. Those leadership students are going to take those students on kind of a tour of the campus, ride a physical tour of the campus, take students to get their school photos taken and get their school ID cards printed, and also introduce them to a lot of the practices, policies, procedures of Sequoia High School, including going over the regulations, the expectations, how to log into your Google account, how to access Canvas, which is our online gradebook, and various other things. During that same time, after we get all the students checked in and sent off to their groups, parents are going to be invited to a welcome parent presentation in Carrington Hall, our beautiful visual and performing arts amphitheater on campus. That'll run from about 9 to 10:30 or so. Following both of those opening activities, we'll invite both parents and kids over to our main quad for kind of a fun afternoon barbecue, and just kind of the opportunity to mingle around with each other. So barbecue lunch for both students and for their parents. Again, that's Tuesday, August 11th for our new student orientation prior to the first day of school on Wednesday, August 12th.
We often like to say that one of the biggest differences coming to Sequoia High School from most of the middle schools you're at is the amount of stuff there is to do here. And a big reason for that are the amount of student organizations or clubs that we have available on campus. We have more than 60 different student organizations that you can join, covering a whole wide range of interest sets. And if you can't find the one that's perfect for you, it's a really easy process to start one. That way you can meet people from all different backgrounds that have similar interest sets, and you can do the things that you love together.
Electronic introduction, electronic me. But like I mentioned in that short video clip, we are really proud of the amount of student life that we have on campus. More than 60 different student organizations that cover a wide range of things, from multicultural clubs to board game club, the clubs that meet after school to do physical activities, all kinds of different things. So whatever it is that you're interested in, there's probably a club that exists to accompany that interest. And if you can't find one on campus, as I mentioned again, it is a very easy process to start up a club so that you can celebrate those types of interests with other students that might enjoy the same type of thing. We do showcase all of our clubs at a date in mid-September. This year, we're planning on a September 12th club day. All these clubs will be out there on the front lawn at Sequoia. It's a really fun day, and students who have never heard of any of them can walk around, visit tables, get information, and sign up for interest in as many clubs as they want to. So even if you're coming to the school without a real understanding of what might be out there, that's a really great first opportunity to get there and see what you might be interested in.
Can I just quickly give a shout out to 3 of my favorite clubs just to illustrate the breadth of our club roster. The Happiness Club, which I think it goes back and forth between the Happiness and the So Fun Club, and I think we've got a member or maybe the president on our panel, which is just about making people happy, which I love. There's also an Office Club, which is the club that's for students who like to watch the TV show The Office, and I think they meet every Tuesday to watch The Office at lunch, which I think is just fantastic. And then I think that the Polynesian Students Club, the Pacific Islander Students Club, because they always put on one of my favorite lunches every year. So I wanted to give a shout out to just 3 of them, like 60 plus clubs. Those are some of my faves. But next year, I'm sure I'll have a new fave.
Just wanted to take the next opportunity to talk really quickly about the leadership program that exists at Sequoia High School. We do teach our leadership program in 3 classes, and I kind of oversee that. Our 9th grade leadership class, which some of you might be enrolled in, we teach that like a curricular class. We're going to start out with really kind of broad information about what it means to be a leader, but then we get into stuff that we feel is really usable at the high school level. Things like what is bullying and how to address it, or what does fundraising look like on a high school campus, how to improve your public speaking or your ability to plan events, how to make good decisions and manage your time, all those things. That's a 9th grade only class, so hopefully we'll see some of you enrolled in that. From there, you can move on to a couple of different options, either ASB, which is kind of what you think about if you think about a student government at a high school. That's the group that puts on a lot of our events. When you think about dances or rallies or community service projects or outreach to student groups, that's often ASB at work. That class is actually run on a daily basis by our student body president and vice president. We have the pleasure of having our student body president on our student panel today, so she'll be addressing you a little bit later. And that whole program is built up. We break into a bunch of different committees and just have a great time kind of helping the school run on a behind the scenes version. Also last year, we introduced a sports leadership class. That sports leadership class is also involved in not only celebrating the athletes at Sequoia High School and helping to publicize and further the events that we have going on connected to athletics, but it also teaches some things from a curricular standpoint if students are interested in potential careers in sports. So things like coaching or sports journalism or sports management. Our athletic director, Melissa Schmidt, who's going to take over in just a couple of slides, leads that class and does a really great job. Last year, it was introduced to Sequoia's elective slate, and we're continuing. We've got a great group lined up for next year as well. So those are 3 different classes that some of you might be interested in participating in if you're interested in student leadership during your time at Sequoia. And I think with that, we're going to get into a little bit of our visual and performing arts. So this video is Pam Ehrlich.
My name is Pamela Ehrlich, and I'm the PTSA liaison to the Visual and Performing Arts Department. We're lucky to have excellent courses in the visual arts, such as Art 1, ceramics, photography, and drawing and painting, as well as in performing arts, which includes band, orchestra, choir, guitar, piano, stagecraft, and dance. You can also get involved in the arts after school to work on theater productions, dance team, or in Sequoia's open art studio. Tryouts for the fall musical will be in September. Visit seqdrama.com for information. If you're interested in intermediate dance, contact Taylor White directly, twhite@seq.org for tryout information. Finally, to all of you parents out there, please look out for opportunities to volunteer as VPA patrons. We welcome your support.
Hi, I'm Carly. I'm a sophomore at Sequoia, and I'm going to talk to you about sports at Sequoia. So, if you're interested in joining a sport, there's going to be a certain season for that sport. Once that season starts rolling around, there's going to be an announcement on the morning announcement saying there's going to be a meeting held for that sport where you'll meet the coaches and they'll go over the schedule and what tryouts are going to look like. A standard week for a Sequoia athlete is 5 practices a week unless you have games. There's usually 2 to 3 games a week. Practices go from 4 to 6, but sometimes there's morning practices or tournaments your coach wants to do. It all depends on your coach, but usually they're just after school 4 to 6. That sounds a little overwhelming because you have to balance school at the same time, but if you feel very overwhelmed with the schoolwork that you have or a project coming up, you can just communicate with your coach and say, hey, there's this thing I have to do. I can't go to practice today. And it's totally okay. They just need to know and you guys can work something out. I think you should join a sport at Sequoia. It's personally one of the best choices I've ever made. It helps with PE credits. You don't have to take PE unless you're a freshman, but especially as a freshman, sports helped me connect with people, meet new people, and really feel part of the Sequoia community. Playing for your school is just a really good experience, and you get to be in rallies, and I just think it's overall really fun. It's also a really great break from playing club sports for me, especially I get to play with my friends, but it's still at that high competitive level. But yeah, I personally think that joining a sport at Sequoia is a really good choice. It doesn't really matter if you have played the sport prior to Sequoia. A lot of sports are no cuts, so you try out and you're automatically on the team. And it's just a really good way to see what you like and just be active and just be a part of the Sequoia community. Seasons are usually about 3 months unless you make it to CCS, but overall those 3 months, it's really fun and I highly recommend it. So welcome to Sequoia, and I hope you consider being a student athlete.
So thank you to Carly for that. Here we have a list of the different sports that we offer. We do offer nearly all the CIF sports that are available. And you can see them grouped by season. The fall season typically runs the beginning of August through end of October. Winter picks up in end of October, early November, runs through mid to late February, and then spring starts in the beginning of February and runs through late April, early May. As we look at these, one of the questions that always comes up is about cut sports and no cut sports. All of our sports require a certain minimum level of participation, dedication to the team, that kind of thing. Country is a great example of one of those teams. We've had as many as 80, 90 kids on the cross country team. Football, golf, and tennis. And in water polo, they would theoretically be limited, but I don't think we've ever really had to cut in water polo. Winter, the one no-cut sport that we offer there is wrestling. And we do have both boys and girls wrestling. Girls wrestling is a quickly growing sport. And then in the spring, we have a lot of options. So we have, again, golf for boys. Girls lacrosse has never had to cut. Swimming, often we have huge teams in swimming. Tennis, track and field, those are all sports that are very open and willing to take large numbers of students. Then the next slide, I'm going to talk to you guys just a little bit about some of the requirements for joining a sport. So one of the big things is that you have to get a physical before the season starts. They're good for exactly 1 year. This is a state requirement. So my big strong recommendation is make sure you stay on top of those appointments, those annual well checks with your child's doctor. Get them scheduled well out ahead of time. If your student has had a physical in the year leading up to the doctor fill out the form based on that physical. We are aware that things are tricky right now with getting doctor's appointments. So we're looking into options to kind of help people get caught up once the shelter in place is lifted and once we have more options for seeing doctors. There is also an online clearance process. So seqsports.com is the Sequoia Athletics website. That's where you're going to find all the info. And under the more section, there's registration and athletic clearance. This is a good thing to just knock out well ahead of time because it takes us some time to process all the forms. The system will flip over to the next school year sometime in late May, and we'll be able to load in all the students for next year. So if your student is planning on playing a fall sport, my request is that you get your clearance in by August 3rd. That gives me about a week to plow through everything before those sports start. And each season I ask for about a week's lead time. This is something that you need to do for each school year also. So for fall sports, we're hoping that we're going to be able to start things up per usual. Keep an eye on that SEQ Sports website, and that's where we're going to have all the information. A lot of our sports have summer workouts. The summer workouts are completely optional. Cross country, volleyball, football, basketball, and water polo are the teams that usually work out in the summer. Stunt has also started doing that. So just keep an eye out, check that website, and once we have information available, it will be there. Again, those are optional. Those don't affect tryouts or anything else, but if you're around, it's a great way for your student to meet other student athletes ahead of time and give them a way to start connecting with the school. The first official day of the fall season is August 7th, and that's when most of those tryouts are going to start, and when the regular practices will start as well. Sideline cheer runs on a very different schedule because they are not a CIF sport. We are going to be running virtual cheer tryouts in May, and there will be an info night for that coming up here really soon. So I will be posting info about it on seqsports.com, and current eighth graders are welcome to go through the tryout process now. Please feel free to shoot me an email if you have any questions, and or put questions in tonight, but always happy to connect with parents and clarify things.
That was Melissa Schmidt, by the way. She's the athletic director.
Sequoia. El Comité Asesor de Estudiantes y Aprendices de Inglés es un comité de padres interesados a mejorar las necesidades de los estudiantes. Hace recomendaciones al director y al concilio escolar de Sequoia. Promueve pólizas escolares que mejoran las oportunidades educativas de los estudiantes y la importancia de la asistencia. Y la comunica a los padres sobre las expectativas, metas, requisitos de graduación, requisitos universitarios y oportunidades de becas.
Okay, I'm just going to speak briefly about what you just saw, which is our coordinator for our English Learner Advisory Council, our ELAC. About roughly half of the students at Sequoia at home, the primary language is something other than English. In a lot of cases, it's English and something else. In a lot of cases, it's something else. But our students come from all kinds of different backgrounds, which means that there are a lot of other first languages. We have a number of students who, when they started school, maybe they were classified as English learners and were redesignated as fluent English. We have a number of students who have only been here for a couple of years and are still classified as English learners. So we have a pretty strong network of support for those families through what we call our ELAC, which is what you just saw a video of. And then of course, immediately following this, we're gonna do another round of this event in Spanish. For those of you who have joined and are wondering, are they gonna speak more Spanish than that? Yes, we will as soon as this one's over.
Hello, my name is Lisa Hane, and I'm the president of Sequoia's PTSA. We are so excited to welcome you and your student to our school community. Sequoia's PTSA is a part of a 100-year-old nationwide organization that advocates for parents, teachers, and students to ensure a quality education for all. Here at Sequoia, some of what our PTSA does includes the production and distribution of our weekly online newsletter called The Sentinel. We organize teacher appreciation events, we organize parent education events, and we work closely with the Sports Boosters, the Education Foundation, the Parent Center, and ELAC to build a strong community. Some of you may have been involved in parent organizations at your children's elementary or middle school, such as the PTA or the PTO. And if that's the case, we welcome you veterans with open arms. For those of you who haven't had the opportunity, now's your chance. We welcome mothers, fathers, guardians, grandparents, folks who work full-time, those who work part-time, those who work from home. Really, anyone can get involved in the PTSA. We know these are very difficult times, and our heart goes out to everyone. But we are really looking forward to the fall and coming back in full force, and we want you to be a part of our PTSA. Look for us at back-to-school events in August, and until then, you can reach us at sequoiaptsa@gmail.com. We welcome you to Sequoia, una li'i, a place of friends.
So I'm supposed to say something probably, and mostly I'm a parent of 3 kids who've gone through Sequoia, who are going through Sequoia. And man, I feel for you guys out there because you're trying to get through your kids' 8th grade year and you're looking forward to their 9th grade year. And there's a lot going on in our community right now, in the world right now. So we're very happy that you logged into this conversation, and we want you on board. So this slide tells you about our newsletter, our orientation, the various events that we do. We'd really like you to become a part of the PTSA in any way that you find, possible for you and your family. But man, I am so excited for the fall and seeing all of your beautiful faces. So thanks for coming into this conversation, and we'll see you soon.
Lisa, thank you so much for speaking up. I just want to put a punctuation on that. I'm so proud to be able to work with Lisa and our PTSA. Again, this difficult period that we've had over the last month and a half has only made my feeling stronger about how well our community works together. Tough times bring out the best in strong communities, and this has been an example of that. From day one, Lisa and her team have been, what can we do? How can we help? They're one of our most valued partners. If you look at that slide, you see all the things that our PTSA does. Each and every one of those initiatives is of major significance to the success of our students and our staff. We could not do what we do without our PTSA, and we are so very, very proud and to work with the parents. And we hope that there are a number of future PTSA leaders following along tonight.
We know there are, so welcome.
Hello and welcome incoming freshman students and parents. My name is Ann Barriaffa and I am the current president of the Sequoia High School Boosters organization. We are an organization whose sole purpose is to raise money and spend money on our sports teams and cheer teams. Our organization promotes school spirit, and we provide a multitude of opportunities to volunteer and get involved in the school. For more information on that, please go ahead and check out our website via the school website, or just Google Sequoia High School Boosters. We are excited to see you in the fall. We know that the ending of this school year has been extremely difficult for many with these unprecedented circumstances. but we are excited about a fall where we can get together, get to know each other, and have some amazing times in the sports arena. All right, go Ravens, go Sequoia.
Good evening and welcome to the first virtual freshman family event. I'm Tessa Solomon, president of the Sequoia High School Education Foundation.
And I'm Amoy DeLizo, a junior at Sequoia High School. I'm Hannah DeLizo, an incoming freshman at Sequoia High School.
We hope that when your freshman students start school this fall, things will be back to normal. Regardless, the Sequoia High School Education Foundation is there to ensure that every student has access to programs and services to succeed. This includes programs like
smaller class sizes, teacher training, college support, family support, and technology resources.
We hope that you will consider a gift to the Sequoia High School Education Foundation and support an education that empowers. You can donate online at www.shsef.org/donate. Thank you and take care.
It's always a little cringeworthy when you see yourself on video. My kids are giggling over here. I'm Tessa Solomon again, president of SHSEF of the Education Foundation. Right now, we are at half of our goal of $630,000 to support programs and services. Funds raised this year do support programs and services in the next school year, so all incoming freshmen will be benefiting from the programs and services. Our focus really is to support and educate, whatever that looks like, and to help with recovery. We work closely with Sean and other staff to figure out and prioritize what those programs and services are. And we have committed, one of our biggest priorities next year is for a full-time college counselor. I'm sure you've heard of all the different changes and processes for colleges this year. And we have committed to funding a full-time staff member next year. So thank you, and we hope that you will consider giving to the Education Foundation. Oh, this next slide is if you own your own business or work for a company that might be interested in some marketing benefits, we do have a business sponsorship program. There's different sponsorship levels, and you can check that out on our website. If you have ever gone to one of our football games, you can have your name on the banner at the field. So that's our business sponsorship program, and that's part of a collaboration of all the parent organizations, including Boosters, PTSA, and VPA program.
So real quick, let me just put a punctuation on the foundation piece as well, because there's really no doing what we do. All the things I've talked about, all the different areas of involvement that the PTSA talked about, we have one fundraising arm. So Sequoia is a school, and this is different than the way that other schools work. Sequoia is a school where there's really one primary fundraising arm. The boosters raise money for sports, but the foundation raises money for everything else. So whether it's visual performing arts, whether it's technology, whether it's lower class sizes, college career readiness, family support, all the mini grants they go directly to innovative projects for teachers and are run out of the PTSA. The PTSA's budget all comes out of the foundation. That is our fundraising arm. It's a very, very tight budget. Our annual goal is built directly responding to the needs of the school and directly related to the mission of the school. So it's very, very important that we meet our goal every year. I want to encourage those of you who are coming on board to start out before you get here, because we're funding next year with a gift to the foundation so that we can meet our goal this year.
All right, well, I'd like to thank all of our panelists and speakers so far. Before we turn it over to our student panel, we're going to answer the questions that you've been sending in. I want to go over this final checklist one last time. Please refer to our communication resources, which are available on the high school website. Again, that's sequoiahs.org. I would encourage you highly to subscribe to all of the distribution lists. While it may seem like a lot, it's going to give you the most information that you can possibly get, so you have what you need so you come into the 9th grade successfully. There are some summer reading things that need to be done, so please again check the website, look under the English department. For summer sports workouts, again, try that seqsports.com. And remember the clearance date, August 3rd. Melissa needs that information prior to that. Also, we encourage you to join and volunteer for PTSA at sequoiaptsa.org. And again, the boosters as well will gladly take your help. Finally, for the Ed Foundation, we would love to have you as a member of the Ed Foundation. There are campaigns that we are starting for next year's program and staff, and we need all the encouragement we can get, especially right now with everything closed down. So finally, with that, I'm going to turn it to Sean, who is going to run the Q&A portion, I believe, with our student panelists. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, John. Thank you, everybody. One thing I just want to clarify, I realize it might have been a little bit confusing when we talk about our goals for next year with the foundation. We have, at this time, Sequoia has one full-time college and career counselor. In addition to our guidance counselors who help with academic programming, we have one full-time college and career counselor. What we're fundraising for next year is for a second college and career counselor, just because as you can see from everything you've heard, there's a tremendous need. And then, of course, moving into next year with things being a little bit more complicated because of the pandemic and the quarantine and the school closures and the grading changes and effect on transcripts and effect on colleges even being open in the fall, we anticipate we're going to need additional support, and we want to make sure that we have it. So that's part of that. We have one full-time. We have a great, very experienced, over 20 years of a full-time college and career counselor. We're hoping to add a second one in the 2020-2021 school year. Let's get to the important part of the night, which is our student panel. So we can close up the presentation and we can move to gallery view, and so we can see all these students who have joined us tonight. And we've got an awesome group here. I think they represent a pretty good cross-section of our campus. This is, I think, a real opportunity for folks that are here with us in the audience to think of questions you might have for a high schooler. I'll start off with a couple. I've got a few in my pocket that are sort of ones I hear every year, but we do want to make sure that you all know that with as much time as we have, we're going to open this up to questions from the audience, things that you want to know as incoming ninth graders. The first question I have is about workload. I think there's a lot of our students who come into high school, they're unsure about what that's going to mean. So I'm wondering if there's anybody that would be willing to jump out and take this one. What was the big difference between the amount of work starting in ninth grade, but then as you move up, how did it change? Maybe talk about those of you who are 11th or 12th graders, how that changed, the amount of work that you were expected to complete, what kind of work that was, and how you felt like you were supported, or how you feel like you've been supported in being successful in that academic workload. So maybe we can start with Isabella. Why don't you go ahead and take a shot at that one?
Yeah, so the workload at Sequoia, I would say it's always bigger than middle school, of course. It is a complete difference. However, our teachers are super kind, and they give you a lot of time for assignments along as a lot of extra help. And that's something that I really appreciate, is my teachers are always there for me, whether you need to go in at lunch or after school, or just schedule a separate time, whether it's for work or without work, or you just need to talk to someone. Our teachers are always there to help us. And I think that's really something separate from middle school. I think the personal level that you grow with a teacher on has really helped me with my workload. I think there are a lot of bigger projects that may take longer. I think the grading, of course, is harder, but I think with the teacher's support is a lot helpful. And I think getting close with your teachers is the best opportunity possible.
Does anybody have anything they want to add to that?
I think that there's definitely more work in high school, but I think that the jump from 8th grade to freshman year was very manageable for me. I think a lot of students feel a similar way. I know that freshman year, I had a lot of time to kind of branch out and to meet other people. A lot of time that I don't really have now, because that workload has ramped up, but it's been very gradual, and it hasn't been like all of a sudden I've been like slammed. And I know some students might feel differently, but as always, there's still a large amount of academic support. And I feel like no matter which kind of academic path you want to take through Sequoia, there's a lot of support available for you, and the homework load isn't manageable because Sequoia is very understanding of the fact that at the end of the day, homework isn't the end of, or like the thing in which you should be graded on. It should be kind of your academic progress in that class, and so they look at more than homework, and I like that a lot.
Thank you. Next question I have is about kind of planning your pathway. So high school is different than middle school in a lot of ways, because in middle school and elementary school, you just sort of go to the next grade. Whereas in high school, you're really taking classes over the 4 years that you're there to meet graduation requirements and to meet eligibility requirements for four-year college. So it takes what they call 4-year planning. You have to kind of think about, what am I going to do 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade. And you also have some freedom in there to choose some elective classes or make some decisions about what kinds of classes you want to take to fill those requirements, because it's not always necessarily one size fits all. So Caitlin, can you talk a little bit about your experience in terms of planning for your 4 years at Sequoia, both in terms of graduation, but also in terms of being ready for college, UC, CSU, A to G requirements, for example?
I think the college counselors right at the beginning in freshman year, they already get you thinking about what classes you're going to take all 4 years. And so they already get you planning, and you have classes in mind of what you're going to take even like senior year as a freshman. I think I've had a lot of classes that I wouldn't normally take that I decided to take, and they were actually a great experience. Like I got to take journalism this year, and it turned into something that I absolutely loved. I also got to take draw paint and do art classes, which is something that's not usually just for me. So I think they do a really good job of keeping a plan for us and what classes we're going to take all 4 years, and they do a really great job, the college counselors, with helping us with that.
Thanks, Caitlin. Isael, how about you? To what extent do you feel like the 4-year planning has allowed you to kind of pursue some of your interests or discover new things that maybe you're interested in?
I'd say it really helped me because as a freshman, you like have to start thinking, oh, do I want to apply to a UC, or do I just want to go straight into community college? And by that, you start thinking about, oh, these are the courses I want to take throughout the years. And thinking of this really, I feel like it really prepared me to strive and get ready for, well, the workload in college as well.
Thank you. Do any of our panelists have a job?
I do.
Isabel, can you talk a little bit about having a job, and I don't know if do you have a work permit, or can you just real briefly describe what that has looked like for you, being both a student and working? And I always think that's so cool when students hold a job in addition to being full-time students.
Yeah, thank you. So I've held a job since my freshman year, and I do have a work permit. I work at King's Camps and Fitness. It's like an obstacle course place for kids and like American Ninja Warrior. And so I've worked there for about 2-3 years. It's been a great experience. And although I do have a workload, I've learned through all of my teachers and my friends how to balance that. And I think that's something that throughout your years and throughout the IB program that they do teach us. And it's really great. I do love having a job. I think it's a great experience, especially just to learn more responsibility and how to balance things, because throughout high school, there is like, whether you want to play a sport or you want to be an ASB, if you want to do dance, there's always a balance between schoolwork and that. And I think having a job has really taught me that. And I do love working and I do love my school. So it is a good balance and I do recommend it.
Here's a question I always ask at these events. What is something you wish you knew when you were sitting on the other side of this panel and about to start at Sequoia? What's a piece of advice or a piece of wisdom that you've learned since being at Sequoia that you'd like to share with the folks that are listening in the audience? Jacob, why don't you take this one to start?
I think the biggest thing that I wish I knew right away was to branch out. Like, you're coming from your middle school, which is a lot smaller than your high school, and it's probably tempting to just stick with the middle school friends that you have. But this is an enormous school filled, and you're going to have very large classes. So you're going to meet a lot of people with common interests, and I just think it's really important to branch out and meet new people and try new things.
what advice would you give for doing that? I'm starting 8th grade. I hear you. I want to branch out. Give me a place to start. Step one.
Club day is a great time because you can see the different kinds of clubs and you can see what kind of activities are going on campus, and a lot of clubs connect to extracurricular things. Like if you wanted, we have like a running club, and if you joined that, then you could learn more about track and field and cross country and stuff. We have a drama club, and through that you can learn all about the theater production. So I think clubs are a really great way to start and kind of learn the possibilities and how you can get in on them.
Awesome, thank you. Does anybody have anything they want to add? Another piece of advice for a rising 9th grader, something you wish you knew?
One thing I wish I knew is to connect with my teachers. I know my freshman year, I didn't really connect as much at the beginning, and then I did have someone in my family pass away, and that was a time that I really leaned on my teachers, and that is something I appreciate so much. My teachers have always been there for me, and I've learned to start building a greater connection, and it is something that they're always going to be there for, like whether it's homework or you have something going on at home, your teachers are there to support you, and no matter what, they're going to listen, they're going to be there for you, and I really, really recommend to start making connections with your teachers at the beginning of the school year, and they will last for a long time, whether you need a recommendation for college or you just want someone to stay in touch with from high school and you want like that other parent figure that's not necessarily your parent. It is something that I really appreciate, and I totally recommend it to all of you.
Cool. Thank you very much. I have a question about leadership, and I think we've got a few people that could answer this one. There's more than one way to get into the leadership program. What are some of the different pathways that either you've seen or you've experienced yourself to be a part of leadership at Sequoia?
So one of the main ones is starting at leadership of freshman year. I didn't do that, although my brother did, who graduated last year. You can start in leadership, and I think that's a great path to take. You learn all about leadership and bullying and just how to deal with certain situations. And you do have a connection with the ASB class, which is also great, so you can see what it's like to be an ASB member. I did not do leadership or ASB my freshman and sophomore year. This year, my junior year, I actually joined ASB and I fell in love with it. It was something that I've always wanted to do. I just never really found a place in my schedule, and I could not convince someone enough to do ASB. It is something I love to do. I love being a deeper part of my Sequoia community, and being able to feel a difference that like you're making is amazing, and it's something that like I love. So I was a little scared as a junior to join, not really sure where my place was going to be in ASB, and I think everyone's super welcoming, and we're just growing a lot together and as a whole school, and I love it.
So I have two questions that I can answer really quickly that have come up in the Q&A. One of which is there a manga or anime club? And I believe the answer to that is yes. I believe it's actually pretty active club. It meets in Miss Goodwin's room at lunch, maybe twice a week. Yes, so yes. And number two, is 7th period optional? The answer to that is no. There are 7 periods in the day. Some students have 6 classes. Some students have 7 classes. Some 12th graders only have 5 classes, but that's actually a pretty small number of kids. And when those classes fall during the 7-period day is not really an option. There's not a lot of choice in that. You're sort of going to get those classes when you have. So about half of our students, maybe a little bit more, have class during 7th period, just to answer that question really quickly. My next question I have is, so you heard Miss Hane, Lisa, our PTSA president, use the phrase Una Lii. Una Lii is the school motto for Sequoia High School. It goes back to the very, very early days of the school. It's a word out of the Cherokee language, and it means a place of friends. And it's kind of corny because, we're in like high school and it's 2020 and but it's a real thing. And we, I think, talk a lot about Una Lii and Sequoia as a place of friends. And I'm curious to know what that means to the folks on the panel here, because I have this conversation with students all the time, and I'm always surprised and actually really sort of heartened by how much people think about this and take it very seriously and pass this tradition down. This is a tradition that's been passed down for over 100 years. So Isael, why don't you start with this one? What does that Una Lii mean to you?
To me, Una Lii well, it means place of friends. And I definitely believe that Sequoia stands by that because when I came in as a freshman, I was really scared that I wasn't going to make friends or that I was not going to be able to branch out. But it was really easy to branch out and make new friends. And Sequoia is a really friendly environment to make friends with, especially with your teachers, because the teachers here are really friendly and helpful when it comes to school.
Javier, is there anything you want to add to that?
I interpret the like place of friends more as it is a place of friends, but it's also just a place of friendly people. Everyone you see in the hallways is just a nice person. There's very few people at Sequoia that, you know, like aren't nice people and aren't friendly and aren't willing to give you that chance to kind of grow a friendship with. And I think that that makes it a really special place. People aren't out to compete when it comes to academics or just like socially in general. People are there to build each other up and to just be nice to each other. And I think that makes a great and very supportive high school environment to be in.
So I have a question for Caitlin. As a ninth grader, did you find that to be the case? So in other words, you know, I hear people talk about all the time being scared about starting ninth grade and that it's going to be, you know, there's going to be these older kids and there's going to be like freshman Fridays and things like that. As a ninth grader, was your experience that people were friendly and trying to lift you up?
Yeah, as a freshman, I had a great experience with like upperclassmen, making a lot of friends. I got involved right away in water polo, which is a fall sport. So I got to meet a lot of upperclassmen, and it was such a great experience. Like walking through the hallways, they're always so nice to me and like encouraging, give me advice. And it's the same with the other sports I played. I got to know a lot of upperclassmen, and everyone was so welcoming to me as a freshman. And I got to know so many people being involved in a lot of activities.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So we've got just a couple minutes left. I've been given the official warning bell on this event. I want to make sure that everybody has a chance to share any other thoughts that they want to share with the panel. So if there's anybody that wants to say one more thing, and put your hand up, and we can give you a chance to give us some final thoughts before we sign off. So
I'd love to add.
Go ahead. Yes.
No, I just wanted to add from the parent perspective for the place of friends. I think right now, parents, when you make that transition from 8th to 9th grade, there's a little bit of a tendency to step back and not be involved in school because your teenager kind of wants some space. But I have to say that Sequoia, for me as a parent, has also been a really great place of friends. I've reached out to parents with older kids when I was confused or I didn't know what to do. And also volunteering with PTSA events or going to sports events, and just openly talking to parents and introducing yourself and getting to know folks. It really helps. It helps make high school bearable for the parents as well, and makes it a lot of fun. You will find community there, even at this late stage in the parenting game. So I encourage parents to get involved and to make new friends on campus.
Thank you. I just want to say one last thing about Niagara. I have my favorite story. One of my favorite stories from being at Sequoia for 9 years. A few years back, we changed all the numbers in the building. You know, it's an old building, and there's been new additions and new buildings, and the way that the rooms were numbered was really crazy. So you would go from like room 110, and the next room would be 241. It just made no sense. So we decided that we were going to have all the rooms on the bottom floor be 100s and all the rooms on the second floor be 200s, and that they would go in order, odds on one side, even on the other side. And so you could actually walk down the hall and get to where you were going just by looking at the rooms. And we were so proud of this project. We worked on it over the summer. We got all these signs made. It was a very, very complicated, involved process. And when we got back in the fall, one of the 12th graders came up to me and said, "Hey, Mr. Priest, why did you guys change the numbers?" And I said, "Well, to make it easier for everybody to find where their classroom is. Isn't it great?" And she said, "No, it's terrible." She said the best thing about the first day of school was that all the ninth graders didn't know where they were supposed to go, and that's how we could meet them. We could help them find their rooms because we knew where everything was. So it's very, very much a place where we take a lot of pride in welcoming new students. And that's not just me, that's just not the people on the panel here, that's an across the board kind of thing. So I think I'm out of time. I want to make sure we get a chance to wrap this thing up properly, but before I get cut off, I do want to make sure I say thank you to everybody who's here with us, who's stuck it out. And I really want to thank our panel and the folks that have put this together. John McAfee, Hillary Paulson, Corey Uhalb. You guys really put on a good show. This was a total ad hoc. We're in really difficult times, and yet we keep kind of exceeding what it is people think we can do under these circumstances. I'm really, really proud to be the principal here at Sequoia. Thank you for being here.
So again, I'd like to thank all of our panelists for being here. I'd like to thank especially the students for being here, and I'd like to thank you for taking an hour out of your night to learn a little bit about what to expect next year. Just as a reminder, all of this information will be online later. It'll take us a while to get it uploaded, but it will be available on the website. And if you'd like to stick around for the presentation in Spanish, we will start that at approximately 7:15. So thank you and have a wonderful evening.